All right, here we go now. He has been laying in the weeds. You don't see him in San Diego. We haven't had him on here in a long time. So he's going to give me a nugget or two so we can break a little news. Alex Anthopoulos runs Atlanta, and he is one of the good guys, and he says hello. Another excellent trade in the weeds. You make another one. You get Sean Murphy. I know you called Dano to make sure that he understood, and now you have a catcher. Let's discuss. Take it away for me. What do you have?
Yeah, we obviously great defensively, great player, no doubt about it, but great defensively. We value so much of what he does, the blocking, the receiving, the throwing, the game calling. And then you add Travis d'Arnaud to that, who is so good at that, caught every inning of our World Series run, and is really the glue to our clubhouse. You have a tandem like that with those two, and we've got DH at-bats open. I just think we're going to be really strong, and those guys will be able to get some rest, stay fresh, and they should make the starters and the relievers much better. So it was expensive. We gave up a lot of really good players that we liked quite a bit, but you got to give to get, right? And it was going to be expensive to get a player like this.
All right, now, let's give me the $64,000 question. We're all assuming that Swanson's going to go in a different direction. True or false?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to give you my best 8 minutes that I have here. So, I obviously, when it comes to free agents, I can't get into any specifics, but I would say this. Right now on the roster, we've got Orlando Arcia, Vaughn Grissom, that we think can handle the position. If we don't do anything from the outside, whether that's sign someone or trade for someone, those guys will compete. No one will get handed that job. Orlando Arcia has done it before with the Brewers, with playoff teams. Vaughn Grissom, we like his long-term upside. But, we know that if we do end up having to play him there, there'll be some growing pains. That being said, we still want to get better. And one way to get better is at the shortstop position. So if there's a way to add from the outside, whether that's free agency or trade, we're still going to be open to doing that.
All right. Last year you're pitching last month, a couple months ago against the Phillies. You had some injuries and everything else that hurt you a little bit, Al. But you got Soroka coming back, and you got the makings of an excellent staff. Do we expect Soroka to be the old Soroka? He hasn't pitched in 2 years, but we know how good he is. How important is he to the 2023 Atlanta team?
Yeah, the upside is just huge. I was talking to Max Fried today, and just about how Ian Anderson and Soroka, the fact that those guys right now are scheduled to compete with guys like Colby Allard and Bryce Elder as well, but just with their track record and what they've done, clearly Ian Anderson and Soroka will be the guys that I think definitely have our front runners for that spot, for the 5 spot. And Ian Anderson, our Game 2 starter for the playoffs in 2020. Soroka in the Cy Young conversation, his first full season in 2019. Like you said, it's been a while. He was just here in Atlanta the other day throwing. He feels great. They all have options, and we can go with a hot hand at any time. If they both look unbelievable, or if Allard looks unbelievable, or Bryce Elder, there's a scenario we could go with a 6-man rotation. It's not ideal, and it's tough to do in terms of you being able to take away a guy from the bullpen. But that's the hope, that these guys perform and they're good, and we have depth at the starter spot. And we're definitely excited because the upside for those guys is huge.
You've done an amazingly good job with getting a lot of your young players signed, and we've seen what the prices are here in the last couple of weeks for some free agents. Yet you got a lot of players on that team, Harris and obviously Riley and Albies and Acuna. They're going to make basically less than what 2 pitchers are going to make with the Mets in, of course, Scherzer and now Verlander. Your acumen of making long-term deals with good young players looks ingenious as we head into this winter and, of course, next year. Thoughts on your secret? Let me hear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get into a long-term deal, things could look fine at first, but, you guys, it's a long road from here to the end, just like when you sign a free agent. So you really need to let these things play out. Obviously, the goal of these deals for the majority of these guys is for them to play well and to perform well, and that means there'll be a second contract. A lot of these guys will, they'll be set up to be free agents again at 30 or 31. Guys like Olsen and Riley, obviously, that was their big deal. That carries them through age of 35. But for all those other guys you mentioned, the Harrises, the Striders, the Albies, the Acuna, those guys will still be young men, and hopefully they'll play well, they'll stay healthy. There'll be extensions beyond those with the Braves. But look, I think with all this stuff, there's definitely a give and take. You're getting security. Especially the longer you go out, the more things can happen. performance-wise and health-wise. But I think these guys want to stay here. I think a big part of it is having a competitive team. I think that's certainly important. I think our staff, meaning not the front office, the people in the clubhouse, the trainers, people that deal with the families. I'd say the fan base as well. They sell out this place day in and day out. And they talk about being a great environment, new ballpark, the Battery, the surrounding areas. So there's a lot of things in place in Atlanta that are really, really desirable. But I think more importantly, you need to have a team. I believe the players still has a chance to win. So the fact that these guys have bought into each other, they know they're all going to be here. They're going to be together. They know what they can do as a group. And obviously our goal is to be competitive year in and year out.
Are you happy with Olson? He didn't hit great, 240 batting average, but boy, that was a gutsy move. You made it. I think it actually gives you confidence that if you do the same thing down the road with a guy like Swanson, a guy like Grissom would do a nice job at shortstop. But you had to be very happy, Alex, about how well Olson fit in, quiet, went about his business, had a good postseason, hit a lot of home runs, and fit like a glove, and you gave him that big contract, too. Thoughts with him for a sec. Let me hear.
Yeah, he was great. There was a lot on him, right? You're getting traded after a World Series year. You're replacing a Hall of Famer. You're changing leagues, contract. You're getting married. You just got married. New teammates, new everything. It's a lot, and that's not to make excuses for him. But with that, he still hit 34 home runs. He still had an 800 OPS. Still played Gold Glove defense at first base, and I think he'll just keep getting better. I think just one other year now, he knows what to expect. There's no firsts anymore in Atlanta and all those things, and there's the comfort. And definitely, like you said, he was great in that playoff series against the Phillies. Really the two biggest series of the year for us against the Mets, facing Scherzer and DeGrom and Chris Bassett. He showed up big time and had a great series, which was a huge part of that sweep. And then into the Phillies series in the DS, obviously you weren't able to advance, but he played really well and had a great series. So we know what he can do. He's a very accomplished player. And he fit in great, just like you said. And the other thing is he plays every day. It's what we do here in Atlanta. We have players that post. And he played every game and was outstanding for us.
Hard to knock what happened in 2022, right? I mean, let's face it. You won it the year before. You only won 88 wins. This year you won 101. You tracked down the Mets, but you got to go through a long path. Phillies had a little momentum after beating St. Louis. You would have sit around for 6 days, and you had a couple of pitchers. Fried wasn't well. Obviously, Stryker wasn't 100% either. So it was tricky. You got to get hot at the right time, and you kind of, whatever the reason, health, layoff, a little worn out with the Mets, issues with the Phils. I'm sure you've thought about it, Alex. Let me hear your take on that 4-gamer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, it was a grind. We hadn't won 100 games here in Atlanta in over 20 years, and it didn't feel like it because the Mets played as well, if not better, for the majority of the year. So, it was a grind all the way to the end. Second to last day of the season, we finally clinched. And I don't think we were out of gas, or I don't think necessarily it was the layoff. I know it's easy to point to that stuff. One, the Phillies deserve a ton of credit. They were really good. They played really well. They had a really good team. I mean, we've seen them a bunch in the division. They played us tough all year. So it was close between us during the year. I know it was 87 wins or whatever it was, but they were a lot more talented than that, and we weren't surprised. But the big thing for us is, when we've had success, we've pitched. And, Kyle Wright had a great start. We won that game. Max Fried, like you said, not to make excuses for him, but he had lost a bunch of weight. He was sick. He was supposed to make that last start against the Marlins. He wasn't ready to go. He couldn't even be there the night before to celebrate with us because he was so under the weather and he was back at the hotel. But obviously he still felt like he could pitch and he gave us everything he could. But it was his lowest velocity of the year, shortest outing of the year. He was not right. And we know he's a frontline guy and a top 3 Cy Young guy when he's out on the mound. And then Strider, I think if he had gotten more innings, he would have been in the Cy Young conversation during the year. So we were trying to squeeze whatever we could out of him for 2 innings. It was unbelievable. But the more we looked at it, we think maybe the up and down, his legs, that maybe had a factor for him in the 3rd inning. But again, give the Phillies credit. They're a great lineup, great team. But we do think it starts with the rotation. And we had a strong rotation during the year. And we think when they're right, they're healthy, we've got a chance to win the whole thing.
You sure do. And I tell you, you don't want to hear this. You and the Astros are the 2 best franchises in baseball. Dodgers, I know. Yankees, I know. Mets, I know. Nobody does it as well as you 2 guys. You keep the payroll. at, it's high, but it's not ridiculous. And you got a lot of homegrown guys, and they want to stay there. So you deserve a lot of credit. Keep in touch. Keep on watching. Always a pleasure. We'll get to you before the season in spring training. Don't blow us off. Don't blow us off.
All right.
You got it.
See ya.